The starship moved slowly through the dark space between stars. It was a beautiful ship, silver and white, carrying 50 humans on a very important mission. They were going to planet, home of the powerful empire. Park Ho sat alone in his small room, reading a book about customs. He was 28 years old, not very tall, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He worked as a translator on the ship. His job was simple. He learned languages and helped people understand each other. Ho was not a soldier. He was not a scientist. He was just a normal man who was good with words. Sometimes he felt small compared to the brave captains and smart doctors on the ship, but he worked hard and never complained. "All crew members, please come to the main hall," a voice said through the speakers. Ho closed his book and walked to the meeting room. Captain was standing at the front, a serious look on her face. She was a strong woman with short gray hair. "We will arrive in 3 hours," she said. "This is the most important diplomatic mission in human history. They are powerful. Their queen, Queen Vila, rules over 200 planets. If we make them our friends, humanity will be safe. If we make them angry." She did not finish the sentence. Everyone understood. Ho felt nervous. He had studied the language for 2 years. He knew their words, but he was still learning their customs. They were very different from humans. They were tall, almost 7 feet, with pale blue skin and silver hair. Their eyes were large and purple, and they could see in the dark. The ship landed on 3 hours later. Ho looked out the window and gasped. The planet was beautiful. The sky was pink and orange, and the buildings were made of white crystal. Everything seemed to glow with soft light. A group of guards came to meet them. They were wearing silver armor and carrying long spears. Their faces showed no emotion. "Welcome to," one guard said in a deep voice. "Queen Vila is waiting for you." The human group followed the guards through the crystal city. People stopped to look at them. They had never seen humans before. They whispered to each other, pointing at the small, strange creatures from Earth. Ho felt very small. They were so tall and beautiful. He was just a normal human with messy black hair and simple clothes. They arrived at the royal palace. It was the biggest building Ho had ever seen. The walls were made of pure white crystal, and the ceiling was so high he could not see the top. Golden lights floated in the air like tiny suns. Queen Vila sat on a massive throne at the end of the hall. She was the most beautiful and terrifying creature Ho had ever seen. Her skin was pale blue, almost white. Her silver hair flowed down like a river of moonlight. Her purple eyes were cold and sharp, looking at the humans like they were insects. "So these are the humans," she said. Her voice was soft but powerful. It filled the entire room. "Such small creatures. I have heard you came from a tiny planet called Earth. Is this true?" Captain stepped forward and bowed. "Yes, Your Majesty, we come in peace. We hope to build friendship between our peoples." Queen Vila smiled, but it was not a warm smile. "We shall see. You will stay in the palace as our guests. My daughter, Princess Lyra, will be your guide." At that moment, a young woman walked into the room. Ho felt his heart stop for a second. Princess Lyra was different from the other. She was shorter, only about 6 feet tall. Her blue skin was softer, like the morning sky. Her silver hair was tied in a simple braid, and her purple eyes were full of curiosity, not coldness. She looked at the humans with excitement. "Hello," she said in a cheerful voice. "I am so happy to meet you. I have read so many books about humans. You are very interesting." Queen Vila frowned at her daughter. "Lyra, behave yourself. These are diplomatic guests, not toys." "Yes, Mother," Lyra said, but she was still smiling. The humans were taken to their rooms. Ho got a small room with a window that looked out at the Crystal City. He sat on his bed and let out a long breath. The queen was scary. She clearly did not trust humans. One wrong move and this whole mission could fail. The next morning, Princess Lyra came to give them a tour of the palace. She talked a lot, asking questions about Earth, about human food, about human music. The other crew members found her annoying, but Ho liked her. She was kind and curious, not cold like her mother. "You speak very well," Lyra said to Ho. "Most aliens cannot learn our language." Ho felt his face turn red. "Thank you, Princess. I studied very hard." "Please call me Lyra," she said with a bright smile. "Princess sounds so formal." Ho nodded nervously. "Okay, Lyra." They walked through the palace gardens. Strange flowers bloomed everywhere, glowing with soft colors. Lyra explained that the flowers sang at night, making beautiful music. "Humans have music too," Ho said. "We have instruments like guitars and pianos." "What is a guitar?" Lyra asked, her eyes wide with interest. Ho tried to explain, using his hands to show the shape. Lyra laughed at his movements. It was a lovely sound, like small bells ringing. For the next few days, Ho spent a lot of time with Lyra. She wanted to learn everything about humans. She asked about Earth, about human families, about human love. Ho answered all her questions, happy to share his world with her. He did not know that something was about to go very wrong. On the fifth day, Ho was walking through the palace when he found Lyra sitting alone in the garden. She looked sad. "What is wrong?" he asked. Lyra sighed. "My mother says I am too childish. She says I need to be more serious, more like a true princess. But I do not want to be cold. I want to be happy." Ho felt sorry for her. He reached into his pocket and found a small candy. It was a strawberry candy from Earth, his favorite. He always carried a few for when he felt sad. "Here," he said, giving her the candy. "This is from my planet. When I feel sad, I eat this. It makes me feel better." Lyra looked at the candy with wonder. Her purple eyes grew wide. You are giving this to me." "Yes," Ho said with a simple smile. "I hope it makes you happy." Lyra took the candy slowly, her hands shaking. I accept," she whispered. Ho did not understand why she looked so emotional. It was just a candy. But Lyra was looking at him like he had given her the most precious gift in the universe. "Thank you," she said softly, "my beloved." Ho blinked. "What?" But before he could ask more questions, Lyra ran away, her face bright purple with what looked like embarrassment. Ho stood alone in the garden, confused. What just happened? Ho could not sleep that night. He kept thinking about what happened in the garden. Why did Lyra call him beloved? Why did she run away with such a strange look on her face? It was just a candy, a simple strawberry candy. He decided to ask Doctor about it. Was the ship's cultural expert. She was 32 years old, smart, and always calm. If anyone could explain behavior, it was her. The next morning, Ho found in the library, reading a thick book about history. "Can I ask you something?" Ho said nervously. Looked up and smiled. "Of course, what is wrong? You look worried." Ho sat down next to her and told her about the garden. He told her about the candy and how Lyra reacted. He told her about the word beloved. As he spoke, his face changed. Her smile disappeared. Her eyes grew wide with shock. "You gave her food?" asked slowly. "You gave the princess food and she accepted it?" "Yes," Ho said. "Is that bad?" Closed her eyes and took a deep breath. "Ho, do you know what it means to give food to a—" "No," Ho admitted. "I thought it was just a kind gesture." Opened a book and showed him a page. There was a picture of two exchanging what looked like fruit. In culture, giving food to someone is not a simple thing. It is one of the most important acts in their society. Ho felt his stomach drop. What does it mean? Pointed to the words below the picture. When it gives food to another person and that person accepts it, they are making a bond, a very serious bond. "What kind of bond?" Ho asked, his voice shaking. Looked at him with pity in her eyes. "A marriage bond. You proposed to the princess, Ho, and she said yes." The world seemed to stop. Ho could not breathe. He could not think. His mind was empty, filled with nothing but pure terror. "Marriage," he whispered. I proposed marriage." "Yes," said. In culture, giving food is the same as asking someone to be your spouse. It is a sacred tradition that goes back thousands of years. Ho put his head in his hands. I did not know, I just wanted to make her feel better. She was sad. I understand, said gently, but the princess does not know that. She thinks you proposed to her on purpose. She thinks you love her. Ho groaned. This was a disaster. He, a simple translator from Earth, had accidentally proposed to the daughter of the most powerful queen in the galaxy. What would happen when Queen Vila found out? She would probably kill him, or worse, start a war with Earth. What do I do? Ho asked desperately. How do I fix this? Thought for a moment. The best thing would be to explain the misunderstanding to the princess. Tell her that humans do not have this tradition. Tell her it was an accident. Ho nodded quickly. Yes, yes, I will do that. I will talk to her right now. He ran out of the library searching for Lyra. He found her in her private garden, surrounded by glowing flowers. She was sitting on a bench, holding the strawberry candy in her hands. She had not eaten it yet. She was looking at it like it was a diamond. Lyra, Ho called out. She looked up and her face turned purple again. That was how blushed, Ho now realized. My beloved, she said softly, I am so happy you came. Ho's heart sank. She looked so happy, so hopeful. How could he break her heart? Lyra, I need to tell you something important, he said, walking closer. Yes, she looked at him with her big purple eyes. Ho opened his mouth to speak, but the words would not come out. She looked so innocent, so trusting. She truly believed that he loved her. How could he tell her it was all a mistake? He stopped, he tried again. I wanted to say. Yes, my beloved. Ho took a deep breath. He had to be honest. It was the right thing to do. But before he could speak, a servant ran into the garden. Princess, your mother wants to see you right away. Lyra stood up quickly. I must go. We will talk later, yes. She gave Ho a bright smile and ran off. Ho stood alone in the garden, cursing himself. He had missed his chance. The next few days were torture. Every time Ho tried to talk to Lyra alone, something interrupted them. Meetings, dinners, tour. The diplomatic schedule was packed with events, and there was never a private moment. Worse, Lyra started telling people about their engagement. She told her servants. She told her guards. She told anyone who would listen. The human gave me food, she would say proudly. He chose me as his spouse. Is that not wonderful? They were shocked. A human and a princess. It was unheard of, but Lyra was so happy that no one wanted to argue with her. Word spread quickly through the palace. Soon, everyone was talking about the human translator who proposed to Princess Lyra. Some thought it was romantic. Others thought it was an insult to the royal family. But everyone was curious. Ho tried to stay in his room, hiding from the whispers and stares. But he could not hide forever. Captain called him to her office. Is it true, she asked, her voice cold. Did you propose to the princess? Ho explained everything. The candy, the misunderstanding, the tradition he did not know about. Captain listened quietly. When he finished, she let out a long sigh. This is a serious problem, Lieutenant. If Queen Vila finds out, she might see this as an insult. Or worse, she might think we are trying to trick her. I know, Ho said miserably. I am so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. Sorry is not enough, Captain said sternly. You need to fix this. Talk to the princess. Explain the truth. Do it before the Queen finds out. Ho nodded. Yes, Captain, I will. But it was already too late. That evening, there was a grand dinner in the palace. All the humans were invited, and so was the entire royal court. Queen Vila sat at the head of the table, watching everything with her cold purple eyes. Ho sat at the far end of the table, trying to be invisible. He kept his head down, eating quietly. Maybe if he did not draw attention to himself, nothing bad would happen. But then Princess Lyra stood up from her seat. Everyone, I have an announcement, she said loudly. Ho's heart stopped. No, he whispered. No, no, no. Lyra smiled brightly. I want to introduce you all to my future spouse. The room went silent. Every turned to look at the princess. His name is Park Ho, Lyra continued proudly. He is a human from Earth. He gave me food 5 days ago and I accepted. We are engaged. She pointed at Ho. Every eye in the room turned to him. And then Queen Vila slowly stood up from her throne. Her face was calm, but her eyes were burning with cold fire. She looked at Ho like he was an insect that had crawled onto her dinner table. What, she said slowly, did you just say? Lyra did not notice her mother's anger. Is it not wonderful, mother? A human chose me, he loves me. Queen Vila's hands gripped the edge of the table. The wood cracked under her fingers. You, she said, pointing at Ho, come here now. Ho could not move. His legs were frozen. His whole body was shaking with fear. I said come here, Queen Vila roared. 2 guards grabbed Ho and dragged him to the front of the room. They threw him at the queen's feet. Queen Vila looked down at him, her purple eyes filled with rage. Human, she said in a voice like ice, why does my daughter call you spouse? Ho looked up at the terrifying queen, unable to speak. This was the end. He was going to die. Queen Vila's voice echoed through the silent hall like thunder. Every in the room held their breath. Even the floating golden lights seemed to dim with fear. Ho was on his knees looking up at the queen. She was even more terrifying up close. Her pale blue skin seemed to glow with cold anger. Her silver hair floated around her like a living thing, and her purple eyes, they looked at him like he was already dead. I asked you a question, human, she said slowly. Why does my daughter call you spouse? Ho's mouth was dry. He tried to speak, but only a small sound came out. His whole body was shaking. Mother, please calm down, Lyra said, stepping forward. He proposed to me properly. He gave me food from his world. It was very romantic. Queen Vila did not look at her daughter. Her eyes stayed fixed on Ho. Is this true, human? Did you give food to my daughter? Ho finally found his voice. Why, yes, your majesty, but I did not know. Silence, Queen Vila raised her hand. You dare to pursue my daughter. You, a tiny creature from a tiny planet. You think you are worthy of royalty. No, your majesty, My daughter is a princess of the empire, Queen Vila continued, her voice rising. She will one day rule 200 planets. She will command millions of soldiers. And you think she should marry a human translator? Ho felt tears forming in his eyes, not from sadness but from pure terror. Please, your majesty, let me explain. It was a misunderstanding. I did not know about your tradition. I just wanted to make her feel better because she was sad. Queen Vila laughed coldly. A misunderstanding? You expect me to believe that? It is the truth, Ho cried out. The queen stepped down from her throne. She walked toward Ho slowly, her long silver dress flowing behind her. Each step made Ho's heart beat faster. She stopped right in front of him and looked down. She was so tall that Ho had to bend his neck back to see her face. Do you know what happens to those who insult the royal family? She asked quietly. Ho shook his head. They disappear, Queen Vila whispered. They are taken to the dark prisons beneath the palace. No light, no sound, no hope. They stay there until they forget their own names. Is that what you want, human? Mother, stop. Lyra grabbed the queen's arm. You are scaring him. Queen Vila finally turned to look at her daughter. Lyra, go to your room. This does not concern you. It does concern me, Lyra said firmly. He is my spouse. He is not your spouse, Queen Vila shouted. He is a human, a weak, small, insignificant human. He cannot be your spouse. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. Why not? Why can I not choose who I love? The room was completely silent. Even the guards did not dare to breathe. Queen Vila's face softened for just a moment. Then it became hard again. Love? You do not love him, you have known him for less than a week. This is foolishness, Lyra, childish foolishness. It is not foolish, Lyra cried. He is kind to me, he talks to me. He does not treat me like a princess, he treats me like a person. Queen Vila closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were colder than ever. Guards, take the human to the holding cell. I will decide his fate tomorrow. No, Lyra screamed. But two guards grabbed Ho's arms and pulled him up. They started dragging him toward the door. Captain stepped forward. Your Majesty, please wait. Lieutenant Park is a member of my crew. I ask that you let me speak on his behalf. Queen Vila raised an eyebrow. You dare to question me in my own palace. I mean no disrespect, Captain said calmly. But this situation involves a possible cultural misunderstanding. If you punish Lieutenant Park without investigation, it could damage the relationship between our peoples. Queen Vila considered this. She looked at the captain with her cold, purple eyes. Very well, she said finally. You have until tomorrow morning to prove this was a misunderstanding. If you fail, your translator will spend the rest of his life in my prison, and your diplomatic mission will end in failure. Captain bowed. Thank you, Your Majesty. We will not disappoint you. The guards took Ho to a small holding cell in the palace. It was not as terrible as the dark prison the queen had described, but it was still cold and lonely. The walls were made of smooth white stone, and there was only a small window near the ceiling. Ho sat on the floor and hugged his knees. How did things go so wrong? He just wanted to be kind. He just wanted to help a sad princess feel better. And now he was facing life in prison. Hours passed. The pink sky outside the window turned dark. Strange stars appeared, none of them familiar to Ho. He was so far from home. He thought about his family on Earth. His mother, who always told him to be careful. His father, who was proud when Ho joined the space program. His little sister, who cried when he left. Would he ever see them again? Late at night, he heard soft footsteps outside his cell. A shadow appeared at the door. Ho, it was Lyra's voice. Ho jumped up and ran to the door. Through the small window, he could see Lyra's face. Her purple eyes were red from crying. Lyra, what are you doing here? I came to see you, she whispered. I am so sorry. This is all my fault. I should not have told everyone. No, Ho said gently. It is my fault. I should have explained the truth to you earlier. I tried many times, but I could never find the right moment. Lyra looked confused. The truth, what truth? Ho took a deep breath. This was his chance. He had to tell her now. Lyra, in human culture, giving food does not mean marriage, he said carefully. It is just a kind gesture. When I gave you that candy, I did not mean to propose. I just wanted to make you happy because you looked sad. Lyra's face went pale. Her eyes grew wide. You did not mean it, she whispered. No, Ho said. I am so sorry. I did not know about your tradition. If I had known, I would never have done it. Lyra stepped back from the door. Her whole body was shaking. So, you do not love me? Ho felt his heart break. She looked so hurt, so betrayed. Lyra, I care about you, he said quickly. You are kind and curious and wonderful, but we have only known each other for a few days. I do not know if that is love. Tears fell down Lyra's blue cheeks. I thought you chose me. I thought someone finally saw me as more than just a princess. I do see you as more than a princess, Ho said. You are my friend, but marriage is a big thing. We cannot rush into it because of a mistake. Lyra wiped her tears. She stood there for a long moment, not speaking. I understand, she finally said. Her voice was small and broken. I was foolish to believe that someone would choose me so easily. You are not foolish, Ho said firmly. You are wonderful. One day someone will choose you for real, someone who truly loves you. Lyra looked at him through the window. Her purple eyes were still full of tears, but there was something else there too, something like respect. You are a good person, Ho, she said quietly. Even now, when you are in prison because of me, you are trying to make me feel better. Ho smiled sadly. That is just who I am. Lyra nodded slowly. Then she turned and walked away, disappearing into the dark hallway. Ho watched her go. His heart felt heavy. He did not sleep that night. He sat by the window, watching the strange stars and thinking about tomorrow. Would Captain save him? Would the Queen listen to reason? Or would he spend the rest of his life in a prison, forgotten by the universe? As the pink sun began to rise over the crystal city, Ho heard footsteps again. This time, many footsteps. The door of his cell opened and 2 guards stood there. "The Queen is ready to see you," one of them said. "Come." Ho stood up on shaking legs. Whatever happened next would change his life forever. He followed the guards to the throne room, not knowing if he was walking toward freedom or doom. The throne room was filled with nobles, guards, servants. All of them had come to watch the trial of the human who dared to propose to their princess. The floating golden light seemed brighter than before, making the white crystal walls shine like diamonds. Queen Vila sat on her throne, her face as cold as stone. Princess Lyra sat beside her, looking down at the floor. Her eyes were still red from crying all night. Ho was brought to the center of the room. The guards forced him to his knees. He felt hundreds of purple eyes staring at him, judging him. Captain stood nearby with the rest of the human crew. They all looked worried. Doctor was holding a small tablet and a stack of papers. "We are here to judge the human called Park Ho," Queen Vila announced. "He has been accused of insulting the royal family by making a false marriage proposal to Princess Lyra." A wave of whispers passed through the crowd. Ho kept his head down. "Captain," the Queen continued, "you asked for time to prepare a defense. Speak now." Captain stepped forward and bowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I ask that Doctor be allowed to present our evidence." Queen Vila nodded. "Very well." Walked to the center of the room. She looked calm and confident, even though she must have been terrified inside. Ho felt grateful to have such a brave. "Your Majesty, honored members of the court," began. "I am Doctor, cultural expert of the starship. I have spent the past night studying traditions and comparing them with human customs." She pressed a button on her tablet. A large screen appeared in the air, showing pictures and text. "First, let me explain human culture," said. "On Earth, giving food to someone is a simple act of kindness. Friends share food. Families share food. Strangers sometimes share food with people who are hungry. It has no romantic meaning." She showed pictures of humans sharing meals at restaurants, families eating together, and friends giving each other snacks. When Lieutenant Park gave Princess Lyra a candy, he was following human tradition, continued. He saw that she was sad and he wanted to comfort her. In human culture, this is a normal thing to do. It does not mean marriage. Queen Vila listened with her cold purple eyes. Her face showed no emotion. "However," said, "Lieutenant Park did not know about traditions. He is a translator who studied your language, but our knowledge of your customs is still incomplete. This is only the first meeting between our peoples. We are still learning about each other." She showed a page from a book about customs. According to this text, giving food to someone is one of the most sacred acts in society. It represents trust, care, and the desire to share life together. When someone gives food and the other person accepts, they are forming a bond that is as serious as marriage. The in the room nodded. This was their tradition and they were proud of it. "The problem is clear," said. Lieutenant Park acted according to human tradition, not knowing about tradition. Princess Lyra received the food according to tradition, not knowing about human tradition. This was a cultural misunderstanding, not an insult. Queen Vila raised her hand. "That is an interesting argument, Doctor. But how do I know you are telling the truth? How do I know humans really share food without romantic meaning?" Was ready for this question. I have prepared evidence, Your Majesty. She pressed another button on her tablet. Videos started playing on the screen. They showed humans from all over Earth sharing food with each other. A mother giving her child a sandwich, two friends splitting a pizza, a stranger giving food to a homeless man on the street, office workers sharing snacks during a meeting, children trading lunches at school. As you can see, said, humans share food constantly. If giving food meant marriage in human culture, everyone on Earth would be married to everyone else. Clearly, that is not the case. Some of them laughed at this. Even Queen Vila's lips curved into a small smile. Continued, I also want to show you something else. Lieutenant Park has a history of kindness. Here are reports from his previous missions. She showed records and testimonials. Ho helping a scared child during an evacuation. Ho sharing his food with hungry refugees. Ho giving his coat to an old woman who was cold. Lieutenant Park is not a schemer or a liar, said firmly. He is a kind man who helps people without expecting anything in return. When he gave Princess Lyra that candy, he was simply being himself. He was being human. The room was silent. Everyone was thinking about what they had just seen. Queen Vila looked at Ho for a long moment. Then she turned to her daughter. Lyra, she said softly, did the human explain this to you last night? Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, Mother, he told me the truth. He said he did not mean to propose. He said he just wanted to make me feel better. And how did he behave when he told you this? Queen Vila asked. Lyra looked at Ho. Her purple eyes were gentle now. He was kind, Mother. Even though he was in prison, he worried about my feelings. He apologized and tried to comfort me. He is a good person. Queen Vila closed her eyes. She sat in silence for a long time. Ho held his breath. His whole life depended on the Queen's decision. Finally, Queen Vila opened her eyes and stood up. I have made my decision, she announced. The room became completely silent. I believe this was a cultural misunderstanding, Queen Vila said. The human did not intend to insult the royal family. He acted according to his own customs, just as my daughter acted according to ours. Ho felt relief wash over him. He was not going to prison. However, the Queen continued, there is still the matter of the proposal. My daughter accepted the food in front of witnesses. According to law, the bond is real. Ho's relief turned to confusion. What did that mean? Queen Vila looked down at him. Her cold eyes had become slightly warmer. Human, you may not have meant to propose, but my daughter accepted your offer. In her heart, she believed it was real. She trusted you. Ho nodded. I understand, Your Majesty, and I am sorry for causing her pain. Sorry is not enough, Queen Vila said. You have created a problem and now you must help solve it. What do you want me to do? Ho asked. Queen Vila smiled. It was the first real smile Ho had seen on her face. In culture, there is a tradition called the trial of understanding. When a proposal is questioned, the two people must spend time together and learn about each other. At the end of the trial, they decide together whether to continue the bond or end it peacefully. Ho looked at Lyra. She was looking back at him, her purple eyes full of hope and fear. I am asking you to participate in this trial, Queen Vila said. You do not have to marry my daughter, but you must give her a fair chance. Spend time with her, learn about her, and let her learn about you. At the end, you will both decide the future together. Ho thought about this. It was not prison, it was not death, it was a chance. How long is the trial? He asked. 30 days, Queen Vila answered. During this time, you will stay in the palace as our honored guest. You will participate in customs and teach us about human ways, and you will spend time with my daughter. Ho looked at Captain. She gave him a small nod. She smiled encouragingly. He looked at Lyra. She was holding her breath, waiting for his answer. Ho took a deep breath. I accept the trial, Your Majesty. Lyra's face lit up with joy. Queen Vila nodded with satisfaction. "Then it is decided," the Queen announced. "The human Park Ho will participate in the trial of understanding with Princess Lyra. May they find truth and clarity in the days ahead." The crowd began to whisper excitedly. This was unexpected. A human and a princess in a courtship trial. It was the most interesting thing to happen in the palace in centuries. Ho was released from his chains. He stood up on shaky legs, still not quite believing he was free. Lyra walked toward him, her eyes shining with tears of happiness. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for giving me a chance." Ho smiled gently. "I cannot promise anything, Lyra, but I promise to be honest with you. Whatever happens, we will face it together." Lyra nodded. "That is all I ask." As they stood there in the throne room, surrounded by hundreds of watching, Ho realized something. His life had changed forever. He came to this planet as a simple translator. Now he was in a courtship with an alien princess. What would the next 30 days bring? He did not know. But for the first time since this whole mess started, he felt something other than fear. He felt hope. The 30 days of the trial of understanding passed faster than Ho expected. Each day brought new experiences, new discoveries, and new feelings he never thought he would have. In the first week, Ho learned about customs. He learned how they greeted each other with a touch of foreheads. He learned that their favorite color was purple, the color of their eyes. He learned that they could see in the dark, which explained why the palace was always so dimly lit. Lyra was his teacher and guide. She showed him the crystal gardens where flowers sang at night. She took him to the mountain of stars, where the air was so clear you could see 1,000 galaxies. She introduced him to her favorite foods, strange glowing fruits that tasted like honey and sunshine. In return, Ho taught Lyra about Earth. He showed her pictures of forests and oceans. He told her about snow, which she found amazing because had no cold weather. He taught her human songs, and she tried to sing them with her beautiful voice. "What is this word love?" Lyra asked one evening. They were sitting in the garden, watching the flowers glow in the darkness. Ho thought carefully. "Love is when you care about someone so much that their happiness becomes more important than your own. When you want to be with them, protect them, support them, even when it is hard." Lyra nodded slowly. "That sounds beautiful. Do humans fall in love often?" "Yes," Ho said with a smile. "All the time, sometimes too easily." Lyra laughed. It was a sound Ho had grown to enjoy. "You are a strange species, humans. You give food to strangers. You fall in love easily. You are so different from us." "Is that a bad thing?" Ho asked. Lyra looked at him with her purple eyes. "No, I think it is wonderful." As the days passed, Ho found himself looking forward to his time with Lyra. She was curious, kind, and honest. She did not pretend to be perfect. She talked about her fears, her dreams, her loneliness as a princess. She told him how hard it was to be Queen Vila's daughter, always under pressure to be strong and serious. "Sometimes I wish I was a normal person," Lyra admitted one day. "I wish I could walk through the city without guards. I wish I could make friends who do not care about my title." "You have me," Ho said without thinking. Lyra looked at him with surprise. Then she smiled, a real smile that made her whole face glow. "Yes, I have you." By the third week, something had changed between them. Ho realized he was not just being polite anymore. He genuinely wanted to be with Lyra. When they were apart, he missed her. When she laughed, his heart felt warm. When she was sad, he wanted to comfort her. Was this love? He was not sure, but it was something real. Queen Vila watched them carefully during these weeks. She attended some of their meetings, asking Ho questions about humanity. At first, her questions were cold and testing, but as time passed, they became more curious, more genuine. "Your people are very emotional," she said one day. "You feel everything so strongly. Joy, sadness, love, anger. How do you handle it all?" Ho considered the question. "We do not handle it perfectly, Your Majesty. Sometimes our emotions cause problems, but they also make our lives meaningful. Without feelings, what is the point of living? Queen Vila did not respond right away. She looked at her daughter, who was laughing at something on the other side of the room. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "we could learn something from your kind." The other human crew members also participated in the cultural exchange. Doctor gave lectures about Earth's history and science. Captain had meetings with generals, discussing ways their peoples could work together. The ship's engineer showed how human technology worked. It was amazing to see two civilizations learning from each other. The fear and suspicion of the first days had slowly transformed into curiosity and respect. On the 29th day, Queen Vila called Ho to her private chamber. He was nervous. The trial was almost over. Tomorrow, he and Lyra would have to make their decision. The queen was sitting by a large window, looking at the crystal city below. Without her crown and formal dress, she looked almost normal, almost human. "Sit down, human," she said, gesturing to a chair nearby. Ho sat down, his heart pounding. "I have watched you for almost a month," Queen Vila said. "At first I thought you were weak, small, insignificant, but I was wrong." Ho stayed silent, waiting. "You have shown kindness when you could have shown fear. You have been honest when you could have lied. You have treated my daughter with respect and care." The queen turned to look at him. "You are a good man, Park Ho, better than many I know." "Thank you, Your Majesty," Ho said, surprised by the praise. "But I must ask you something important." Queen Vila's purple eyes were serious. "Tomorrow, you will decide whether to continue the bond with my daughter. I need to know the truth. Do you love her?" Ho took a deep breath. He had been thinking about this question for days. "Your Majesty, 30 days is not a long time," he said carefully. "On Earth, people usually know each other for months or years before they talk about love. But," he paused, collecting his thoughts, "when I am with Lyra, I am happy. When I am away from her, I miss her. When she smiles, my heart feels full. I do not know if that is love yet, but I know that I want to find out. I want more time with her." Queen Vila studied his face for a long moment. Then she nodded. "That is an honest answer," she said. "I appreciate honesty more than poetry." She stood up and walked to the window. "You know, when I first learned about this mess, I wanted to throw you in prison forever. I thought you were a trickster trying to take advantage of my daughter." "I understand," Ho said. "But now I see the truth. You are just a kind man who did a kind thing, and somehow that simple act changed everything." She laughed softly. "The universe has a strange sense of humor." Ho smiled. "Yes, it does." Queen Vila turned back to him. "If you and Lyra decide to continue the bond, I will not oppose it, but I have conditions." "What conditions?" "You must learn our ways properly. You must prove yourself worthy of a princess, and most importantly," she pointed at him with a stern finger, "you must never break my daughter's heart. If you do, no place in the universe will be safe for you." Ho stood up and bowed deeply. "I understand, Your Majesty. I promise to treat Lyra with all the care and respect she deserves." Queen Vila smiled. It was a warm smile full of something that looked like hope. "Good, now go, my daughter is waiting for you." The next day was the final day of the trial. The whole palace gathered in the throne room to hear the decision. Humans stood side by side, waiting together. Ho and Lyra stood in the center of the room, facing each other. Both of them looked nervous. Both of them looked hopeful. Queen Vila stood up from her throne. "The trial of understanding is complete. Princess Lyra and Park Ho of Earth, you must now declare your decision. Do you wish to continue the bond or end it peacefully?" Lyra looked at Ho. Her purple eyes were bright with emotion. "I will speak first," she said. She took Ho's hands in hers. Her blue fingers were warm and gentle. "Ho, when you gave me that candy, I thought it was fate. I thought the universe had sent someone to choose me. When I learned the truth, I was heartbroken. But now I understand something better than fate. You did not have to stay. You did not have to participate in this trial. You could have left and never looked back, but you stayed. You gave me a chance. You gave us a chance." She squeezed his hands. "I do not know if this is love, but I know that I want to find out. I choose to continue the bond." The room was silent. Every eye turned to Ho. He looked at Lyra, at her hopeful face, her trusting eyes. He thought about the past 30 days. The laughter, the conversations, the moments of connection. "Lyra," he said, "I came to this planet as a translator. I thought my job was to help humans and understand words. But I have learned something more important. Understanding is not just about language. It is about opening your heart to someone different. It is about being brave enough to try." He smiled at her. "I choose to continue the bond. Let us discover where this path leads together." Lyra's face lit up with pure joy. She threw her arms around Ho and hugged him tightly. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Queen Vila watched them with a proud smile. She raised her hand for silence. "The bond continues," she announced. "Park Ho of Earth will stay on as my daughters intended, and let this day mark a new chapter in the history of our peoples. Humans and are no longer strangers. We are friends." Captain stepped forward and bowed. "Your Majesty, on behalf of humanity, I thank you for your wisdom and generosity. This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship." The celebration lasted all night. There was music, food, and dancing. Humans and mingled together, sharing stories and laughter. It was everything a diplomatic mission should be. Late that night, Ho and Lyra stood alone on a balcony, looking at the stars. "Are you scared?" Lyra asked. Ho nodded. "A little. This is all very new. I do not know what the future holds." Lyra leaned against him. "Neither do I, but I am not scared. I have you." Ho smiled and put his arm around her. "You know, this all started because of a strawberry candy." Lyra laughed. "The most important candy in the history of the universe." They stood there together, watching the stars, two people from different worlds learning to love. Somewhere in the palace, Queen Vila looked out her window at the couple on the balcony. She shook her head and smiled. "A candy," she murmured to herself. "My daughter found love because of a candy." She laughed softly, a sound no one in the palace had heard in years. Perhaps humans were not so bad after all.